Hey, what's up? I'm Ashley. Thank you for watching this video, and we're going to be talking about the L Word, Generation Q, Season 2, Episode 5. This was a really good episode. I loved it a lot, so I can't wait to dive into it. So y'all let me know your thoughts about this episode down in the comments. And I think we're going to start things off with Sophie and Finley. So it looked like Finley was a little hungover from last week's episode. Y'all remember Sophie done drove Finley back to drinking. Finley was throwing up in the bathroom, but that didn't stop her though. She went straight to the kitchen and got herself another beer and downed it real quick. And Sophie walked in the door while Finley was trying to hide that beer can in the trash can, trying to hide all her evidence, trying to play it off, talking about we're out of orange juice. So after that, Sophie told Finley that she wasn't being honest with her about where she was at and that she was with Dani. And Finley was like, yeah, I know. How is Dani? Sophie's like, well, she was in a crisis, and she kept going on and on about it. And Finley was just like, okay, I know. But she's like really hurt about this. But Sophie doesn't see it. She's like, thank you for understanding. You're always a great friend. And Finley's like, sure, and walks away. Like she's about to walk out the room. And Sophie's like, you do know me and Dani are not back together if that's what you think. And Finley's like, I don't think anything. Finley is really hurt over Sophie, and she was asking Tess for advice, and Tess pretty much told her, just get over Sophie, move on. And that's just what Finley did. She moved on to this girl. While she was at work at Dana's, this girl came into the place, and she left with her. She asked Shane and Tess, can I leave early? And she left early. And she brought her back to the house. And they was getting it on, Marvin Gaye. And Sophie walked in the house and saw it. Sophie thought she was about to make up for that dinner that she canceled on Sophie. And she was smiling. She walked in the door smiling. She had her bag of sushi. And then she started hearing people moaning. And then that's when she turned around and saw Finley getting in with this random girl. And I said, it's just a little too late, like that song JoJo sing. But I was literally screaming, y'all. I was screaming. And Sophie was trying to make things right with Finley, but Finley was moving on like Tess told her to. But I don't think Finley is fully moving on from Sophie. She was just in the moment. But it was so good to see Sophie's face when Finley was in there with that girl. Sophie was so shook. She went to her room and put herself under her covers and started screaming. I was screaming right with her. But Sophie did just get done telling this girl that you're always such a good friend. But I guess this couple that Sophie was interviewing for her segment gig made her realize that Finley is more than just a friend. So she got that sushi ready, thought she was about to eat it with her. But Finley had other thoughts and ideas. But the story was touching. It was a touching story between the couple that Sophie was interviewing. And they told her that the real deal doesn't come around too often, but when it does, you fight for it. And Sophie looked like she was thinking. So I'm wondering, is Sophie about to fight for Finley out here in these streets? Because I think it's the real deal, and I've been thinking that it's been the real deal since early on in season 1. So I'm still rooting for them. Let me know how y'all think about that. So now we have Tess and Shane. And it looked like they had a little bit of drama in this episode. Tess thought that she was introducing Shane and Sherry to each other, but she quickly found out that they already know each other. And she was like, of course y'all do. We found out that Sherry and Tess met at this bougie Hollywood Hills party. We also found out that Sherry is out and proud thanks to Shane, she says. She also got divorced. Sherry told Tess that she knows Shane because Shane used to do her hair. And Shane was like, come on now, we had a whole affair. Sherry said that Shane was a homewrecker, and Shane was like, the proper word is was. And Sherry's like, that's a shame. And Shane was like, I don't think it is. Tess got up talking about she about to go check on the food because low-key this thing was bothering her. She needed a breather. And that's probably why at that time she gave Finley the advice she did, because she had just got up and walked away from that table. So she was feeling a certain kind of way. And Shane asked her if she gave Finley advice to move on from Sophie. And she was like, yeah, she can't keep on pretending to not see what's in front of her. And I think that was a dig at Shane, but she didn't get it at first. And she was like, so you don't agree with me? And Shane's like, I just think things are more complicated than that. Like, life is more complicated. The timing of things can be complicated. And Tess is like, well, she's made it pretty clear that she's not going to change. And Shane was like, who exactly are we talking about here? Tess was like, Finley. Whole lies out here. She likes Shane, but in the back of her head, she's thinking about what Sherry said about how she used to be a home wrecker. And y'all remember Shane hooked up with Tess's girlfriend in season 1. So I know all that's in her head, and she just don't know what to do. And then, so at poker night, Sherry was playing footsies under the table with Shane and touching Shane on her leg, and Tess saw all of this, and Tess went to the back, but then Sherry followed her, and then that's when they hooked up in the back on that couch. Is that the same couch that Tess and Finley hooked up on? That couch is getting some work in. But did y'all see when Sherry knocked on that door and Shane was like, "Where's Tess?" And Sherry was like, "Are you gonna let me in or not?" And Shane was like, "Is that a good idea?" I don't think anything is about to happen. I don't think Shane would do that to Tess. But what y'all think? Let me know. And then we have Angie. I really enjoyed Angie this episode. She had her therapy session, and Bette, Tina, and Carrie was there. She let them know that her donor is sick, and she's telling them that she wants to help in any kind of way she can. And at first, she was kind of beating around the bush, but then Tina was like, "I think she's saying that she wants to find out if she's a match." And Bette went off instantly, like I knew she would. She was like, "God, no, absolutely not." Carrie says, "Let's hear her out." Bette's like, "You don't have a say in this." Carrie puts her foot in her mouth again, talking about, "I can relate to Angie because I was adopted too." Bette's like, "She's not adopted. She's our daughter. She's our child, mine and Tina's." And Bette is still going off. She's like, "How are we even talking about this still? We're talking about our daughter's organs." Like, no, she's not going to do it. Angie gets up and leaves, and Tina goes after her. Bette tried, but Micah stopped her. But Tina was being more understanding. She was consoling her. She wasn't going off like Bette. She doesn't go off like Bette, She's a more calmer parent. Meanwhile, Bette is still back there with Micah and Carrie. And Carrie's like, "I didn't mean that she's adopted. I know that she's your daughter. But I'm adopted, and I grew up without my biological mother. But when I got into contact with her, it answered a lot of questions for me." And Bette was like, "That's you, not Angie." And Micah agreed. Micah asked Bette how's her relationship with her family, and Bette told him that her father died a few years back, and she hasn't seen or heard from her mother in 30 years. "And I am who I am, despite her, not because of her." Carrie was like, "Wouldn't it be amazing if you contacted her?" Bette was like, "No." And Carrie was like, "How would you know?" And Bette was like, "The same way you know you don't like scallops. I tried it once and knew it wasn't for me." Then Angie came back inside because Tina talked her down. And I really loved this moment. She was like, with the whole thing that's happened with Black Lives Matter, it's made me really think about Marcus, her donor, and what he has to deal with as a black man. She shares his DNA, and she started talking to her half-sister Kayla a lot more about race. And Bette was like, "You talk to me about it too?" And Angie's like, "Yeah, but you and I walk through this world differently." With her being passable by some. And Bette was saying, just because some white people may mistake me for Italian or whatever, doesn't mean I don't know who I am. Angie's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you experience more privilege than I do. Aunt Kit looks a lot like me, and I can't talk to her anymore. And it's nice to talk to Kayla because there's a shorthand with us. And that's why if I'm a match, I'm willing to give up a part of me because I don't want to lose something bigger than what I'm a part of." And that was beautiful. It almost got me emotional, but I'm a Taurus and I gotta stay hard. I'm kidding. That's kind of toxic. But Bette does have a privilege that Angie doesn't have, and she understands that, and she just needed to hear that out loud. But Carrie is really jealous. I seen it a few episodes back, and when Bette grabbed Tina's hand after Angie said what she said, you can tell by the look on Carrie's face that she was not feeling that at all. She was telling Tina after the therapy session that she's okay with being second but not third, saying, Bette's going to be second, Angie's first. She's okay with being second but not third. She tells Tina that you're always my number one, and I'm about to take a lift because I got to get back to work. I put a lot of things off to be here. So it's rocky with Carrie and Tina. Are they going to get married or not? She was talking about, oh, I can't believe you married Bette. And Tina was like, don't talk about her like that. She's my daughter's mother. And Carrie didn't like that at all. And later on, Bette and Tina talked to Angie and told Angie that it's okay for her to go meet her donor. They know that it's important to her. So I can't wait to see that happen. So how do y'all feel about Carrie? Because I don't like her. I never liked her. And how do y'all feel about Angie's girlfriend? Because I think she needs to dump her. She's not there for her. She's just worried about running for prom queen. Angie was trying to vent to her and she wasn't even trying to listen to her. I don't like them together, and Carrie gets on my nerves. She's not funny to me. So let me know how y'all feel about that down in the comments. And now we're about to move on to Dani. So Dani went to go visit her dad in jail, and when she got there, she found out that she's now the CEO of the company. He snuck the papers in when she was signing the deal for the house, and she's not happy about that at all. The lawyer was like, well, if you don't become the CEO, like if you don't take this job on, then you're going to lose everything. All of your family's assets is in this company. So she left not too happy. And guess who was outside waiting for her? Gigi was waiting outside in the car. They hung out all day to the point where it's nighttime now. Dani was unpacking some boxes and took a picture out of her and Micah. She was telling Gigi that she doesn't want to pick sides, but Micah still lives with Finley and Sophie, and she misses him. And Gigi was like, have you told him? And Dani's like, you sound like Sophie. And Gigi was like, no, I don't. You just don't have anything else to compare me to. There's more to life than Sophie, and you'll see, I promise. Dani was like, are you hitting on me? And Gigi was like, no, I don't think so. And Dani's like, you don't know for sure. And Gigi was like, well, if my feelings change, I'll be sure to tell you. I'm good at that. So she was flirting, and she was flirting hard, and I can't wait to see the action between them. Just that morning, Bette was being short with Gigi. When Gigi was trying to talk to her, Bette was focused on work again. And Gigi let her know that she was going to meet with Dani that day. And Bette told her that she doesn't care that she and Dani are friends. But she was sure to let her know that she got in contact with Pippa and that she would cut her heart out to work with her. Gigi's face looked like she was annoyed. Like, yeah, of course she would. She's been trying with Bette and giving her all these chances, but she's getting tired of her. That's why she didn't text her back when she was with Dani. How do y'all feel about Gigi and Dani possibly being together? Let me know. Then we have Alice and Tom. They were kind of sad because they knew that they wasn't going to see each other every day since the book is now done. So they hurried up and made it official that they were going to be friends. He gifted her with the pen because she's a writer, and she gifted him with the note that's going to be put inside of her book that says, this may be your best trick yet. With love, Alice. Alice got upset because her dinner date with Nat didn't follow through because Nat had other plans with some other woman. So Tom came over. They went to the beach. They freed the lobsters that Alice and Nat were about to eat, but they still might be dead anyway because they forgot to take the ties off their little claws. Tom was saying, I'm not a lesbian and I'm not into that poly stuff, but if you ever need to talk, I'm here. So the vibes are definitely there. He was gazing into her eyes. I know some people don't like them together, but I think they're cute. I think that this could be a cute little relationship. And then we move on to Micah. Micah had a rough day at work. He doesn't think that he did a good job during that therapy session with Angie and her moms, and then Carrie over there on the side. So he hit up Maribel and asked her to come over. She came right on over. And soon when she walked through that door, like right after, they started kissing and he carried her upstairs. For just a second, I wasn't bored with Micah's character. They got it on. Just for a second, I wasn't bored with Micah's character. So I wondered if they're going to make it official. Because I didn't know Maribel was feeling Micah like that. I thought it was just Micah. But I mean, she over here putting off dates to go. But I should have seen it because she over here putting off dates to go and see what Micah wants. Micah said, I need you, and she dropped everything. But then that could also be considered as a good friend. So yeah, when they gonna make it official? How do y'all feel about Micah and Maribel Does Micah bore you too or what? But I really do love this show. I be getting so excited, and I love y'all for watching and supporting. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. And if you haven't already and you made it this far, don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.